In this episode, I'm joined by Jason Fishman, founder of DNA. We talk about investor marketing, crowdfunding, and the leadership lessons behind raising capital and building strong strategic partnerships. Let's get into the show. Hi, Jason. Welcome.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your time. And as I promised, I'll jump right into the question. So, can you tell me about yourself and what you do in your company?
Absolutely. I live here in Los Angeles, Marina Del Rey, California. Enjoy snowboarding, golfing, and being a father, new father on the weekends. And I run an investor marketing agency called DNA. We've worked with over 500 companies to collectively raise over 9 figures of capital using content marketing, advertising, and outreach. I talk about the findings on my podcast, Test, Optimize, and Scale, over 230 episodes there. We do a monthly webinar series. I serve as vice president in the Crowdfund Professional Association board this year as well, too. I try to be as vocal as I can in terms of sharing what works and does not in terms of investor acquisition marketing.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to ask you about your podcast in a little bit, but before I get there, what inspired you to start your company and step into your world? Obviously, you're doing a lot of different things right now.
Well, my background is in advertising. I could go much deeper than that and talk about being an action sports consultant and that getting me into marketing, working with a social gaming company. But I was at a mobile advertising network working with a lot of Fortune 500s. I wanted to get involved in the startup space here in Los Angeles. And I started a marketing agency to focus on growth stage companies, startup, mid-market, and it was a growth marketing agency. So advertising, content, different funnels. And I found working with organizations at this stage, they were always looking for more funding. And I was being brought to some of the conversations they were having with investors. In fact, I was creating pitch decks, the marketing section of business plans, talking about how the company would be expanding and painting a picture for their trajectory. A lot of the times, the marketing campaigns we were running, the results were being presented to investors to then have them put in more funds and allow the company to grow further and further. And at that point, I was introduced to a set of laws, exemptions from the SEC. First, Reg D 506C, which allows for solicitation of accredited investors, meaning I could run digital marketing campaigns to high net worth and high household income audiences. With advertising, these audience data sets are available to you. I had different data partners, sought out the right audiences to use for these ad campaigns. Saw success. First campaign, it was a solar company, raised $2.83 million. From there, was introduced to more issuers, companies that were issuing the shares. And then the laws opened up further in May of 2016, coming up on the 10-year anniversary. Reg CF, regulation crowdfunding, went into effect, and that allowed us to target both retail and accredited investors. Regulation A Plus later that year, that's the last acronym I'll throw at you. But today you could raise Reg CF funds up to $5 million per year and up to $75 million with the right audits and reflecting your valuation, of course. So basically fell into it, have found the impact we can have working with companies. Many fail because they're undercapitalized. So being able to be on the front lines of bringing in new investors, effectively having capital close in these rounds, we've been able to watch companies take on more market share, grow their organizations, their products. Some of them have gone public. It's actually very exciting to be a part of. When it's working, not every campaign works, and there are difficulties around it, of course. I don't want to make it sound too easy, but basically kept listening to my audience and doing more of what they wanted.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm vaguely familiar with like SEC and like all that stuff because I was involved in different communities with the high net worth people. So like just started to get to know that. But it's very interesting. It's very niche group then, right? Like it's not like very generalized.
Yes. DNA stands for Digital Niche Agency. Again, we
Ah,
didn't know we were going to be an investor acquisition
yeah.
marketing company when creating it. But yes, niche, it's a word I use quite a bit. And I find as a marketing agency, it's important to have that specialization.
Right. Yeah.
There may be 1,000 other marketing agencies in Los Angeles, let alone, greater LA area, California, US, globally. I find that founders, CEOs, marketing directors, CMOs, what have you, want to find the groups that have the best experience, the best formula for a given initiative. So we chose to focus in on this area. There's an attractiveness towards it. I get to work with different funds and VCs and investors, and we're raising money. So there are a lot of great things. I could tell you, as a marketing agency, it is shorter term clientele in many cases. Some of the budgets can be lower than if we were going after, let's say, entertainment companies or consumer packaged goods or other types of, SaaS companies, whatever it may look like. But it's very rewarding when we see, a solopreneur or a small company grow into, 100, 200 person company over the course of a few years and a few rounds with us.
That's amazing. I mean, they call it niche, but it really is your like a very focused expertise on that specific industry and market. So like you call it a niche, but then it really is like you are the expert on that.
Yes, I don't know anyone who's worked on more of these campaigns than us. There are a few other agencies in this space. Some of the FINRA regulated portals. The SEC has essentially FINRA oversee the funding portals, which are basically marketplaces where many of these deals live. There's also broker dealers. Some of them have a tech stack where an issuer can have a deal launched on their own site, even have email and SMS follow up structures built into that. So, some of the portals now have internal marketing groups, but I found our approach, the audiences we've built, can often outperform those. So we get introduced, we get referrals, outreach is much easier. If we were doing outreach to apparel companies, I mean, sure, we could reference some of our latest case studies, but there's just so many other options out there. With our specialization, with our niche, it's a much warmer conversation, much quicker.
Okay. Yeah, so that actually segments to my next question very well. Is that what are the most common pain points you see in your client struggling with, and how do you position yourself to help them? I mean, you kind of mentioned about your expertise on it, but can you elaborate a little more on that?
Sure. So I'm not in the business of telling every company they should run an investment crowdfunding campaign. That's what a Reg CF, even a Regulation A plus, I would even argue Reg D 506C. That these are all in a category of investment crowdfunding. There can be different perspectives from different groups, but I don't tell every company this is how they should raise capital. They should be raising funds, but I do encourage every company who's using one of these vehicles to actively market. And that is a bit different than some of the conversations they've had prior to mine with lawyers and accountants and getting their filing set up and their valuation and their financials and their audits. There are misconceptions in the space. Companies hear about how much they can raise. They hear that 5 million, 75 million, and think it's going to be simple.
Hmm.
Simply not the case. There's a website called King's Crowd. King's Crowd is built for investors to do their own research, and they can look at every Reg CF campaign to date, the majority of Regulation A plus campaigns outside of some fractional and real estate type rounds, and all the live campaigns at that. They put out an annual report for 2025. It showed for Reg CF, only 10% of issuers raised $1 million or more. Those that were offering equity, only 50% surpassed 194K. Uh, Last year, 2024, they did it combined with debt and equity deals because you could use different types of structures, including safes and convertible notes and revenue share. 114K was the median. Half the issuers got stuck under that level. I think that's the pain point where issuers think, hey, I'm going to put my deal online. You know, billion some odd people online every single day. Of course, I'm going to get funded. When in reality, it's a social dynamic uh, exercise where you really want to bring the first 100K, 250K more to the round from your first degree network, your friends, your family. your email subscribers, maybe there's some customers or clients in there, your social media followers. One of the first questions I ask an issuer, a prospective issuer that's going to work with us is how large is your audience? How many people can you get to that offering page, which is basically a vertical pitch deck, maybe with a pitch video at the top that prospects are scrolling through. But how many people can you get there day one? How many of them can invest day one? Groups get stuck in these low levels. It feels like a empty restaurant to a cold investor who gets to a deal and sees a company that's going to change the world and disrupt their industry, but they only have $17,000 raised or $80,000 raised, and their burn rate is six figures a month. So there's a lot of pieces of the formula that involve that strong launch, and many groups are behind. They have an uphill battle from there. I would say that's the biggest piece of it. The next is how much marketing, how much traffic you actually need. On a Reg CF campaign, last year, the average investment was $1,716 on a Reg CF campaign. The year before it was published for Regulation A Plus at about 2,300, which means if you get 1,000 investments on a Reg CF, maybe that's $1.7 million. On a Regulation A Plus, maybe that's $2.3 million. It may be thousands and thousands of investments. And that's a good thing if you're running an active marketing campaign, you have hundreds of thousands, even millions of visits to that offering page throughout the course of the campaign. You're seeing a 2%, even a 1% conversion rate. But really comprehending that they need to drive all of this traffic, and they may need to spend on advertising to get the traffic there if they don't have an existing audience or enough earned media, enough of a community to go after.
Mhm.
So those are some of the wake up calls that I have to give prospects at times.
Yeah, and it's a very educating point for me too, because I'm learning this as I'm listening to it. That's actually very, very interesting about all the numbers that was much lower than I thought, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's fascinating.
Still very, very productive. And I have founders tell me the capital is just one piece of the results, the value that they get from one of these rounds. I mean, you could imagine if you have 1,000 visits to the offering page and 3,000 investments, and that gets an issuer to $5 million, perhaps. And these are kind of round numbers. There may be 3 million or more impressions of advertisements and content pieces, real awareness coming out of it. Could be upwards of 30 million. You then have 300,000 people have been at the page, only 3,000 of them have invested. But even those 3,000 investors, I see strategic partnerships come out of this new investor base. I see merger and acquisition conversations. I see press. I see franchise partnerships. I see all different things come out of it. Even just the fact that a percentage of them are going to be ambassadors. They're going to be sharing the updates of what the company does because hey, they're shareholders now. This is their company as well. They're owners in this. So it's really a marketing exercise. I've had to explain this to traditional finance guys. I go to a lot of conferences where I'm the only marketer, if you will, and I have to explain that this is a digital marketing campaign. It's investment capital that we're measuring as a conversion, but it's really in the form of a digital marketing campaign.
Amazing, yeah. And so I can see that you probably have like a whole communities are really useful for your clients. I met you through Forbes Agency Council. So has being a part of community, like business community or whatever other communities that you were involved in, does it support your growth? And then how did it actually help you?
Yes, 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 yes. I was quoted on an early Forbes agency article.
Mhm.
What as part of the Forbes Agency Council early in that timeline about strategic partnerships being instrumental to the growth of our agency. And I've absolutely been able to build and strengthen those through the Forbes Agency Council, through senior executive, to the Global Equity Crowdfunding Alliance, GECA, through the Crowdfund Professional Association. It's all a matter of what you do as part of your role with any of these groups. If you're just listening, watching, That's okay. You could get some good information, and that could help shape your business decisions, what you're doing with your standard operating procedures, or where you're going, the direction of your business development. Sure. But if you're able to find a good partner who offers a complementing service or product to what you are delivering to your clients, to your audience, to your customers, you can find different pieces of content to build together. You can find mutual referral systems or referral programs or anything that really inspires that other group to introduce more people to you, and vice versa, because we all want to be of value to the groups that we speak to, whether we work with them or not. So I would add, or I would dive deeper into that content creation. I've been interviewed for articles. I've co-authored articles. I've been quoted in books and written chapters. I've had other council members on my podcast. I've been on their podcasts, webinars. I get asked to put together in-person panels, able to pull from my network and vice versa. So I would highly encourage any business owner to find the appropriate communities for them, whether it's a local in-person meetup for their industry or a congregate of their target audience and where they'll be, whether it's a larger event, a conference, whether it's a professional association, even if there's, fees to join for the CFPA. Our fees are very light. I even covered them for people. They're just very light, but it's important to show, hey, I'm committed to this. So you want to take a look at that, and then set some goals for yourself of, how many conversations you're having, how many partnerships, how many clients, how much business you're looking to do with it. You may have different KPIs, different key performance indicators. But I can't say enough good things about joining professional associations and the credibility it adds. All I need to say is Forbes, and I get a different type of listening.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah. And then totally agree that you have to set some sort of KPI for yourself to be
Mhm.
involved more. It's really how you make out of it. Because it's not like if you're just bystander, and I've done that before with other communities too, there's not much you're gaining from it. So like you have to be a little more proactive about what you want to get it, go get it pretty much.
I like making analogies to sales and sales conversations. I look at marketing as sales, but on a mass level, and could break every conversation down to a seller and buyer. And I've run all these workshops on it. But if I send my sales team to a conference, I don't just buy them a ticket and give them a per diem and have all the accommodations covered and say, go get them. Good luck. No, we have a game. What are we playing for? How many people are you going to speak to a day? How many cards? I guess cards are a bit outdated these days. How many contacts are you making? How many people are you going to be able to follow up with after the show? How many calls is that going to produce? How many deals is that going to bring in? How many partnerships are you going to see come out of that? And you could be ineffective in your results there, but without that actual framework, you don't know what success looks like. It's just, let me go and see what comes out of it. I remember going to a lot of Web3 conferences, cryptocurrency, investor acquisition. You can imagine we've worked with exchanges and different crowd sales and different groups that use Reg CF, Reg D, Regulation 8 Plus in the Web3 space. There was a while there, I'd say 2017 to 2020, where every day there was a conference. I've been to conferences in 8 countries, and I'd see some of the same people at each of these conferences, whether it was in the green room before we're going on stage to speak, whether it was at an after party. And the way I heard people reference different conferences varied. They're like, "Oh, that one was no good for me," or, I didn't get anything out of that. And how many people did you connect with? They're like, I don't know. We got 3 new clients out of that, and more strategic partners. Like, really? How many follow-ups did you send? They're like, well, I'm gonna get back to that. I've been on a trip since then, and you could see the system that they're using is much different than what, let's say, a more proactive business development sales rep is doing, what a marketer is doing. It's all a matter of what you get out of it. So if you join and do nothing, yeah, sure, you get the accolade, you could point to it. But if you're reaching out to a few new people, but every day, over the course of 20 days in a business month, 5 people a day, that's 100 new people you've reached out to. Maybe you get on the phone with 10 of them. Maybe you build a partnership with 3 of them. That's 3 new partners for the month. Maybe even get a client out of that. So you have to have some numbers you're playing for. Otherwise, what you get is going to be radically different than what another council member, board member, org member is receiving out of their involvement.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. This is my favorite question, is that what would you say is the one skill that is absolutely essential for business owners, leaders, or entrepreneurs?
The ability to communicate well, to communicate early, and to move a conversation to a goal. Whether it's a celebratory discussion, whether it's a real breakdown, even a conflict, whether it's a motivating conversation for your team, I think it's all about communication. Uh, I This is the hardest thing for me to train team members. And there's a level of tap dancing involved at times. You have to really read who you're speaking to and be able to give them information in a way that's going to move the discussion forward and for mutual benefits. I've seen some of the best founders, CEOs do this to extraordinary levels. And they can
Right.
talk about a topic for 2 minutes and then speak on stage about it for 45, or talk to high level C-level officers about it. I've seen CEOs shy away from the camera and being on the forefront of their marketing and discussions, and I would say that hinders their growth. I think it's all about communication.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And it's a skill that I'm constantly working on because I feel like it's a different way to do it better. And sometimes depending on different crowd, you have to say differently. So it's like constant learning actually I don't know if I can say master it, but it's like get better at it.
You're obviously very good at it. I say yes only because I feel I could always get better at it. I feel everyone could always get better at it, and you have to be striving for those higher levels. Uh, the more you want to improve it, actually, I think the better it shows the speaker that you are. They say people who are very good at things just look at how much better they can be, and people who are not think they're great at it.
Good insight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I'll constantly work at it. Where can people learn more about you and connect with your work? Oh, and then like tell us more about your podcast.
I'll do both in the same answer.
Yes.
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn, Jason Fishman, Marina Del Rey. You'll see me on there. DNA. Our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ at Digital Niche Agency. Uh, you can find all of my podcast episodes there, guest appearances. Many of them are on there. Our monthly webinar series, I think it's over 60 webinars at this point. All of that educationally rich data. Go on to YouTube. You also on our website, and you can find links to our content from there as well too. digitalnicheagency.com, and we have our articles in addition to links to the videos. But feel free to reach out.
Yeah. And I will actually put all those links to our show note as well. All right. Thanks for your time. Anything else before we depart?
Do more, everybody. Do more. If you think you're done for the day, not necessarily on a small micro time basis, but we can all be doing more marketing. We could all be doing more content. We could all be joining more professional associations and building more partnerships. It helps me to hear it externally. Do more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I remember I can kind of hear Jacko's voice about do more. I was like reading his book. Anyways,
Didn't know I was quoting him, but glad to hear I am.
well, like-minded people say the similar things.
There we go.
Yeah.
Me and
All
Jack.
right. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for your time again.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me. This has been great.